Welcome to Chutzpah Time. On today's episode, we are going to learn about the American holiday Juneteenth. June 19th, 1865 was the day the last slaves were freed in America. By the way, June 19th became Juneteenth over time, but it actually stands for the date, June 19th. We have three amazing guests today that will each tell their own experience of the holiday. So let's introduce them. We'll start with Penny. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Peniece LeGall. My friends call me Penny. I've been fortunate enough to pick up great friends at every stage in my life, and all of the people on this podcast are representative of that. I am a Black woman who grew up in a very affluent white neighborhood in Cobb County, Georgia, and relocated to the North, where it's so interesting. I noticed that in the North, I've experienced racism almost not for the first time in my life, but certainly more than I actually did in the South. And I wasn't expecting that. But to say I didn't experience it in the South would not be accurate. I just feel like I was kind of, shielded from it or something. So, I guess fortunate in that I didn't experience so much, like as much venom as some of the things that I've heard. But either way, like it's kind of crazy to even think that there's like so many levels to it that I've kind of normalized certain things in my mind, or certain things are, just, palatable. Like I haven't really felt as outraged as I have in recent times. And I don't know if it's because I'm noticing more or because it's occurring more, or because we're just seeing it recorded. I'm not really sure, but I do know that I was kind of late to the Juneteenth celebration. So I'm really happy that you're doing this, because I feel like I'm going to learn something today. Of course, I've heard of it. I've heard of Juneteenth. I've sponsored events. When I was in music, I sponsored a lot of events, actually, like the block parties and stuff like that. But I didn't participate. And so I feel bad about that, I'm almost ashamed at how little I know about it and how infrequently I've come to like celebrate it. But
it's never too late.
It's really interesting to see that, or to just know two people that are much younger than me that are more hip to it than I am. So thank you guys for being willing to talk about it and educate us all,
Of course. Thank you, Penny. Thank you for that. It's never too late, and this is why we're doing it, so more people know about it from, all Americans. That's my opinion. It's an American holiday. All right, great. So let's move on to Ashley. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Ashley Dieudonne, and I am originally from upstate New York, but I grew up in New York City. And just to add on a little bit to what Penny said, there's no shame in being late to the party, because I just started celebrating Juneteenth in 2018. My first celebration I was an intern at a big pharma company, and me and a lot of the other Black interns were really good friends. And during the summer, obviously Juneteenth occurred, and we all thought it would be nice to get together and celebrate it. So, a lot of them were from different backgrounds, African-American, Caribbean-American, and it was beautiful. We all sat down and we all spoke about accomplishments that we've had and things that we wouldn't have been able to do if slavery was never abolished, and things that we strive to do in the future. And it was just a great day of enlightenment. But yeah, I think it's one of those things that it's not really anybody's fault that didn't really know about it, because we were almost conditioned to not think about it. Like, it's not a federal holiday. It's not something that people get off work from. It's, a lot of people consider it like a Black holiday. So I just guess it wasn't really that big of a deal to so many Americans growing up. But again, it's better late than never. I think it's nice that so many people's eyes are being opened now. Again, similar to Penny, I think I'm a lot more outraged now. And I think it's because it's on the forefront now. Everything is being recorded. Everything somebody says will always be on the internet. And I think before it was like, oh, these are just experiences that I'm having and, a few of my immediate friends. But now we have social media and we have all this big technology. It's like, wait, everyone's going through this. And now we're all able to connect with so many people from different backgrounds and understand that we do have the same experiences and there needs to be a change. So Juneteenth is just, one of the things that it's great that we're all able to celebrate and understand that this is a really important holiday to Black Americans.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with every word. And that's so cool that you discovered it through your workplace. I think that's uncommon. So we encourage more employers to introduce their employees to holidays that are, important for us to be aware of. Okay, awesome. So let's move on to T. Please tell us about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm T. Smith. I'm an attorney, and with the Juneteenth celebration, I have a very unique experience with it, as it's something that's been a part of my life pretty much my entire life. And that is because my father, who was, among many things, my high school principal, was also an African-American historian. So because of that, because of his experience with it, it was something that was naturally passed down through the family. Additionally, I was born in Michigan, a very rural and urban country town in Western Michigan that had a very unique dynamic in regards to the majority of the individuals in my neighborhood were essentially well-to-do and highly educated African Americans. So it was a big thing for Juneteenth in our neighborhood. We would have big block parties, everyone would participate. And additional to having the experience in the North, I also attended a historical Black college, Alabama State University in Montgomery, Alabama, which is the capital of the civil rights movement. And being able to compare how we celebrate Juneteenth in Michigan and versus being able to compare how we celebrated Juneteenth at HBCU in the heart of quote unquote Dixie. I think it brings a great variety of different experiences that I'm looking forward to exchanging with this podcast.
Very cool. We're looking forward to hearing about that. So thank you, Penny, Ashley, and T, for introducing yourselves. And let's just get right into it. Jasmine, take it away.
Thank you, Jackie. I also wanted to mention, I just spoke with one of my friends from Detroit this morning, and she mentioned that growing up, they actually did go to the Right of African American Museum to showcase slavery, but Juneteenth was not on the calendar.
Wow.
And they did not mention it, which is so interesting, and I thought I would throw that out there. So T, I'm gonna start with you. You did mention that your father was a historian. Do you mind sharing with us the history of this holiday?
Sure. Yeah. So my dad was an African-American historian. He was educated at Grand Valley State University, which is in Michigan, and also received, he's a dual master's holder from Western Michigan University with emphasis in urban education. And so that allowed him to have various different experiences with the African-American history and also American history. So pretty much the basis of Juneteenth is when the Union generals were essentially tasked with notifying the far southwest division of the Confederate to let them know that the slaves had been freed actually 2 years prior to the date that most individuals recognize as being the date that slaves were in fact freed, which was in 1865. The actual date that they were freed was January 1st, 1863. So one of the generals, and I believe that's General, I have to come back to that.
Yeah, I had his name, but I can't find it. It's in Greens something in Texas. I forgot the name of the town.
It is General Gordon Granger. And he was assigned, his battalion was assigned to travel to Galveston, Texas,
yes,
which is south of Houston, right on the Mexican, the Gulf of Mexico. And so the issue with that part of Texas was they were very, very heavy industrial, well, not industrial, very heavy farm oriented was the primary source of income. And the soldiers that were present pretty much just ignored the emancipation and the orders handed down from the president at that time, which was Abraham Lincoln, which caused the general to have to enforce the order 2 years later, which effectively did, in fact, free the last slaves. One interesting fact about Juneteenth is we actually don't know exactly what day that information was given to those slaves in Galveston. And that is why we just kind of spread and kind of created this name of Juneteenth, because the actual date is actually unknown.
Wow.
Thank you. That's very informed and actually really hard to find information about this holiday. So thank you for sharing that with us. Ashley, I was wondering, when did you first hear about this holiday?
So, as I kind of mentioned before, it was the summer of 2018 when I was interning at a pharmaceuticals company, and I'm not really sure how the first conversation came up about it, but I had a lot of friends that were also in the same intern program as myself, and they were Black Americans. Most of their ancestors were from right here in the United States, as far back as they can trace. And I know that one of them had originally brought it up. I think a big reason why I hadn't known too much about it before is because I'm first generation here. My parents were both born in Haiti. So a lot of the culture that I saw growing up was, Caribbean culture, Haitian culture. So coming to the United States, it was like, you just celebrate whatever they say to celebrate. It's like the 4th of July is our Independence Day. But I always knew that there was a different day that Black people considered to be their Independence Day. So at some point during the summer, I know one of the interns brought it up. And from then I started doing a bit of research. And as you mentioned, there isn't too much information out there. I think a lot of it was a lot of what they knew and what they kind of informed me on was things that were passed down from their parents and their parents' parents. But yeah, that's how I really learned about it. And I kind of read up about it to see, the proper ways, I guess, to celebrate. Because I know for America's big Independence Day, it's barbecues and, fireworks. And I thought that it was really important to spread awareness about Juneteenth and to use it as a day to spread knowledge just about our history in this country. And again, just talk about things that we've gained as a people in this country that we wouldn't have had otherwise. So ever since then, it's always been something that I was like, oh, I really want to do this. This is something that I want to carry with me. Even though I am first generation here, I'm still, American.
Yeah.
I was born in this country, and I still think it's my duty to pass that down to my descendants, as well as my Haitian culture.
Absolutely.
And it's something I talk about now, even with my significant other, this is something that we have to celebrate. This is something that needs to be passed on because it's already been lost in history so much, in fact, that look at us, a lot of us don't even know about it.
Yeah.
And it's something that you don't really learn about in textbooks. I didn't know about this from school, but I've learned about 4th of July every single year. So yeah, that's how I learned about it. And again, it was such an enlightening day. It was such a powerful day to be around so many educated, beautiful, Black interns, and just talking about all that we've accomplished. And when you don't think about it, it's just like, whatever, it's a bunch of kids, just, they're interns, whatever, they're just being interns. But when I was looking at each individual person, I was like, we would not have been able to do this, you know what I mean, if we hadn't gotten that. So that's pretty much how I discovered it, and my wish is to, pass it on.
That's beautiful.
Thank you, Ashley. That's a really good point about being in community. I love that. And Penny, when did you first hear about it?
Well, I was just going to say, Ashley makes me never want to celebrate the 4th of July again.
Yeah.
First time.
Yeah.
Secondly, like I said, when I was in music, I had, people would come to me to sponsor events and stuff. So I remember it from that. But I really didn't, take the time to look into it and see what the conversation or what the meaning was really about until Ashley and I were taking a walk one day and she told me that story and I was so inspired.
Wow.
So thanks, Ashley. And the other thing that I'm reminded of as I listen to you speak, Ashley, is thinking about how when I was around my family growing up, so my mom is American, but I'm the first generation born here on my dad's side. Oh. He's from South America. And it's just so interesting how, that was the side of the family that I would see during the summer and go to the cookouts and stuff. And there wasn't really this sense of American Black pride, the way that, the way that I guess would have wanted growing up to just acknowledge, the American part of it.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to think, I just didn't know as much about my Black American history as I would have wanted, in retrospect.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting.
Yeah, that's, sorry. It's really interesting because I feel like we don't celebrate Black Americans,
Yeah.
I am missing that in our culture. And I feel like, that's kind of how you felt as a young Black woman, I want to celebrate being Black American, right?
It's just so crazy, to think, even now, I have a lot of, obviously, cousins that, celebrate, Carnival and all these things, but just, damn, if we could just have that same kind of energy when it comes to Juneteenth, I think it would be really great for us. And hopefully, with all that's going on now, we'll start to see real change, even when it comes to that.
Yes.
Absolutely. Amen to that. T, I want to hear from you. How do you celebrate Juneteenth?
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, kind of in my introduction and through the first question, so Juneteenth in my neighborhood has always been a big block party. And so how it's celebrated is everyone in the neighborhood brings a dish, whatever dish they like. Of course, you have the barbecue. Mostly everyone in my neighborhood has Southern roots. So, of course, you can expect the fried catfish. You can expect greens. And, of course, we have some Caribbean flavor as well. So you got to get the oxtails and the jerk chicken and all of that stuff. But another thing that is interesting about the celebration, at least in my neighborhood, is that we all dress in either Caribbean attire or some type of African descendant attire. So you have the kente cloth type of prints and things like that. And it's really just a big block party. Not so much has to go into essentially the education of the actual holiday, because majority of the individuals, like I mentioned, know about it. Mm-hmm. But I do remember a time when I was a little younger where one of my teachers, who is actually a neighbor, invited some individuals outside of our neighborhood, and they brought their children. And he kind of sat down and he had this book, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was like a children's book that kind of was referenced towards Juneteenth. And I'm going to try to see if I can contact him so I can give it to you. And maybe that's something that you may want to push out. And he kind of read from this book, and it was just, a little bit of informative, gave a lot of information for those young children, something they could digest on their level. But like Peniece said, I would love to see Juneteenth from a national perspective, and then maybe perhaps even an international perspective, get to the level of Carnival. Because when I think of Juneteenth, it's not just, I wouldn't coin it as a Black history type of holiday or even an American holiday, in the sense of this dates back to the transatlantic slave trade, all the process that we had to go through, with many of the countries in the Caribbean being liberated first, them inspiring us, the word getting back to us to revolt, and then we are able to do our part once we do finally get the orders that that the war was over and that we have this freedom. And so I would love to see Juneteenth become more of an internationally
absolutely
celebrated holiday.
I did not know about the Caribbean liberation first and the connection to African American liberation. That's very interesting. Thank you. That's it. It should become an international holiday for sure.
Absolutely, especially because unfortunately the whole world took part in slavery at that time. So, Ashley, do you celebrate differently, or how do you celebrate?
So I just wanted to add on to what T said and what you guys were talking about in regards to it being kind of an international holiday and about the Caribbean countries. So obviously my mother and my father are from Haiti, and my mom, she's a very strong woman. And the other day she was actually explaining to me how it was hurtful that she didn't actually know her last name. Wow. So it's one of those things that we think about slavery as this just like American thing, which it is, but obviously it happened in these Caribbean countries. And, we take so much pride in our Caribbean roots, but we fail to realize sometimes that that's not even where it started. Like, I've always had my last name in French, it means God's gift. And I always thought it was this beautiful last name. And then I was having this conversation with my mom, and it was like, that was our family's, slave master's name.
Wow.
So I think it's something that would give a sense of identity to all of these Black people, worldwide, that have lost their culture and lost their identity and their roots through slavery, because she took an ancestry test to see, where our family was from in Africa. But it still hurts to know that, going back all these years to slavery, we were stripped of our culture and our identity. And then now we have to pay to kind of learn where our families are from.
Yeah.
So I think Juneteenth is a way to kind of bring together not only Black Americans, but any Black individuals that understand how hard it is to have lost your identity, and to come together and celebrate, this happened, slavery happened. And now we're all here, and now we're going to celebrate our freedom and celebrate the fact that we've overcome so much as a people. I think a big part of being Black is that you're all family. Like, you have Black Americans, you have people from the Caribbean, you have people that are still, living in the motherland. But when you see each other, it's like, we're all family. And we all know the struggle. So I think it's really important to kind of spread it around as an international holiday, because it affects every country.
Absolutely. That's really beautiful, Ashley.
Yeah, just real quick, because I couldn't pass up the opportunity.
Go
like
ahead.
Ashley mentioned, it's kind of like Black folks are family everywhere. And I'm sure they can all relate, when we're in a room and it's primarily others, we always kind of look around and see, all right, is there somebody else Black here? And it's like, okay, once you make that eye contact, and like, listen, if everything goes bad, you and we're gonna figure this out. And that's kind of like the history and that bond that we naturally have. So I just wanted to jump in and just share that moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a beautiful connection you have with like I can relate to it by being Jewish, and when you see a Jewish last name, you're like, oh, okay, So that's beautiful, and it should be like that, and we all need that. We all need to find that connection with somebody because that what makes us unique.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are gonna ask Penny, do you celebrate? Are you going to celebrate?
Absolutely. I will be celebrating Juneteenth this year and every year for the rest of my life. So thank y'all. I also want to say that same family vibe, that you get and looking for your people. That's how I felt when I saw Ashley at the place we worked and met. That will remain nameless. But when I saw her, I was like, okay. And then I remember when I met T, also just being so impressed at, just how this young brother was coming in and just with his professional energy. And I was just so happy to see it being a young Black man that, I wanted to do everything I could to help him with his career. So,
yeah.
Right on, y'all. Great job.
Yes.
Thank you, and you're also inspiring me to celebrate. Mm-hmm. So
absolutely,
stay tuned on that.
Hey.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything to add? Did we miss anything?
Food.
Oh yes, we did. Okay, so any food that you're eating during this time. From what we did, the research, we found out red velvet is a thing.
Red velvet cake.
Cake is a thing. And hibiscus tea, the color red, in memory for the blood that was felt. So, T, go ahead.
Yeah, so, it's very, I guess what I'll say is, the thing that jumps out to me is this like strawberry red soda that one of my neighbors would always, I guess you could only get it from like certain parts of either Mississippi or Alabama.
Wow.
And that was something that he would avidly go down and bring back. And then we had another guy who was from Louisiana, and he was a super old dude, but he would drive his pickup truck to Louisiana and get what's called yellow meat watermelons.
Ooh.
And it's not something I've ever seen in the North, but it is something that I saw while I was in Alabama. But this yellow watermelon, it's just literally yellow, and the inside is yellow too, but it's so sweet. And that was one of the things that everyone looked forward to for sure, because he would literally bring a pickup truck load, the whole bed full of watermelons. We would eat them until we got sick, and then he would sell them all to the rest of the community, and they would go in a day. So that for sure stands out, and that's what I missed most. So hopefully if I can get home, I can get some of that.
Yeah. If anybody else knows about a connection to this watermelon, please let us know. Because now I want to try it.
I actually I didn't know the significance, but I've actually eaten that growing up, surprisingly. Yeah. And I'm born and raised in New York, so it's definitely alive and well up here. It's just a matter of knowing the significance. And also just going back to kind of the color red and the significance of, consuming like red things on Juneteenth. I didn't know that. So I think it's like my mom is going to cook whatever she cooks. Like she's a Caribbean woman. She's going to cook some oxtails. She's going to cook some rice and beans. It's going to be great. But kind of throwing that like, strawberry soda pop or like, hibiscus or red velvet, that significance is really important. I think that's something that we'll definitely be incorporating into our celebrations going forward, because it's good to, be, aware of why we're doing this and keep holding on to those traditions.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Israel, we remember the Holocaust, and we remember the fight that we had to fight for the Israel land, and it's for remembrance, and it's also for it to not happen again.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're true believers in that, being from Israel.
Yeah, just the symbolism of certain things that you do and repeat, so the next generation knows about it and continues it on to their kids. So yeah, and the symbolism really helps, because now, like Ashley says, she knows, like, okay, I'm gonna incorporate the color red because I know what the meaning of it is, and you're continuing that symbolism. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Penny, do you have anything to add?
This is probably like a conversation for another day, but I was just thinking,
okay.
you know, if they're looking for a place to start, maybe we could start at the 250,000 slaves that were moved to Texas
Mm-hmm.
because because the slave owners were trying to like avoid giving up their free labor. You know,
Yep.
It's kind of like, okay, well, if we start with the 250,000 people that were still enslaved for 2 years after, you know, slavery was abolished, I just think, wow, what, you know, when I think about a place to start, maybe we can, you know,
Oh, yeah.
tackle that. I want to be on the committee to start the reparations.
Yes.
Does anybody have anything to add?
Ashley.
Okay, so the platform is called Activists for Change Now. And it's basically just in the light of everything that's happening now. We have so many people that want to be part of the conversation and want to lend a helping hand, but are not sure how. So it's really just a platform for activists to come together and, you know, join forums, you know, podcasts like this, just to start the conversation and then to actually go out and do something, whether it's small or big. So, you know, the motto we have is talk about it, then be about it, because there's so many things that, you know, we can tackle in efforts to dismantle racism in the United States. And, you know, we're trying to find different organizations where we can all volunteer. We're actually in talks with the NAACP and trying to get our own chapter so that we have that credibility behind us. And, you know, obviously the NAACP is a monumental organization that's been helping, you know, colored people in the United States. So it's just really important to start the conversation, and it's also really important to go out and do something about it. So
Absolutely.
we have our Facebook, Activists United. We have our Instagram at Activists for Change Now. And yeah, so just talk about it and then be about it. And we also want to promote, you know, celebrating those individuals.
Yeah.
So using our platform to shout people out, hey, this person, you know, was part of the conversation, and then they went out and they, you know, protested for this, or went out and voted, or went out and volunteered. And, you know, our ultimate goal is really to have like a group or an activism platform in each state that is working to, you know, go about police reform, healthcare in, you know, underserved communities, and legal. So that's why I was really excited that T was on this conversation, because there's so many things in the Black community that are underserved. And we believe that the three kind of biggest things are, you know, police brutality, gaps in healthcare, and gaps in legal services. So that's really our ultimate goal, to have groups of people in each state that are ready to tackle those. So we're starting small. We just have our platform. We have our website up right now. We're in talks with the NAACP, and we're really trying to get up there. So
That's
Activists
amazing.
for Change Now.
We're going to link all of those, your website and the rest of the social media for that organization in the bio of the episode. So we're going to spread the word, and that's an amazing cause, and I love that. T, did you want to add?
Yeah, definitely. And Ashley, in regards to what you're doing, if you need anything, let me know. Me and my fiance, we're both attorneys, actually.
Wow.
And so we've been looking for ways to give our resources and our knowledge to help the protesters. Has been a big thing here in Chicago. But you know, even if it's not necessarily individuals in jail in Chicago, just kind of need some legal advice or some guidance, feel free to reach out. But I am the owner of the Smith Attorneys Group at Law PC, with locations in New Jersey, Illinois, and Michigan. And my firm focuses primarily on complex litigation and business formations and operation. So when you have these business owners that are facing some issues, a lot of things have come up recently with the whole employment, the new employment laws from the CARES Act in regards to the coronavirus response. That's something that my firm has been tackling avidly and providing advice on how to guide these owners into getting around this difficult time and being in compliant with the new laws that have been handed down from the presidency and also from the state side as well. But you can follow my firm on Instagram, and it's at Staglaw, and that's at SAGLAWPC. The website is under development right now and should be launching by July. So I'm looking forward to being able to reach as many individuals as possible and making sure that the law is readily available to those that need it.
Awesome. And we will link T's info also. Penny, yes? We can't hear you, Penny.
Okay.
There you go.
I just wanted to say, I'm taking this New Jersey real estate course, and as I read up on the laws against discrimination, I'm just so surprised at how many laws there are against discrimination, and yet how many people are actually discriminated against because they don't know their rights.
Yeah.
And it's outrageous, but I'm happy to be a person that's getting the knowledge so that I can pass it on. Like, I'm very moved and passionate about it, because I know, like, my mom has told me stories of being discriminated against and in New Jersey, and I'm just stunned because I'm like, I know it was after they enacted this law. So
yeah,
it's just crazy, how people just don't even know. Like, you could really sue for damages because it's about just proving that, not even proving the act, but just that an act occurred. Like, it's just crazy. So.
That's full circle bringing us to Juneteenth, because Juneteenth is exactly about the Black slaves that did not know that they are free. They did not know their rights. And that's just amazing that you see that still today happening. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that don't know their rights still. And, we still have a lot of work to do. That's pretty much what it tells me. And thank you for sharing that, because it just brings it back full circle to Juneteenth. And that's, it's sad to know, but we are educating ourselves, and you're learning this, and we're, that's education is everything, in my opinion. So thank you, Penny.
Right on. And T is a bar attorney in New Jersey too. Don't let them fool you. So, anybody listening, you need those services, you know who to call. Absolutely.
We're going to link everybody's info so you can reach out and follow them as well. So thank you again.
All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course.
Everyone. I'm so glad to be able to just bring this brilliant group of people together and to call you all friends. That's so great.
Absolutely, Penny. You really, thank you for bringing everybody here today to this conversation. And if it wasn't for Penny, we wouldn't all be here together. So that's awesome. And thank you, Ashley and T, for your time and sharing your insight and your stories with us and our listeners. I feel like this is gold. Like, I'm so excited to share this with our platform. So thank you for your participation. We do believe Juneteenth should be now an international holiday, not just national. We're going to celebrate it every year for sure. And Penny, we know that you're going to start doing that as well. And Ashley's going to continue. And T, hopefully you're celebrating still. Yes. Awesome. So again, thank you.
Thank you guys, and we will see you next time.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Please follow us on Instagram at Chutzpah_time. That's CHUTZPAH_time, where we post updates and reminders so you don't miss any of our episodes or shenanigans. We also are on Facebook and YouTube at Chutzpah Time Podcast and on Twitter, Chutzpah Time. Thank you again and goodbye.